What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Daily Dose with Dylan Davis. As always, I am your host, Dylan, and we have a very packed and special show for you guys today, as I am joined by my man, Gint. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt_McGinty. In just a few moments, Scotty will be with us for another edition of Mondays with Scotty. And then later in the show, a little 4:35, 4:40-ish, Austin Krell will be joining us to discuss the current state of the 76ers, what to expect in the final, what we got left, getting 14, 13 games around there. Can the Sixers overcome their 1.5 game deficit behind the Brooklyn Nets and win the 1 seed? But we have a lot to get to, man. So first, how's your weekend? I know you were sick boy over there.
Yeah, dude, I had mono. It was brutal. Washington had it. Like, it's gone, but I was sick. But no, I am feeling better, thank God, after the absolute brutal weekend in Philadelphia sports was. So
yeah, you couldn't even drink for that weekend.
No.
I had to drink to forget this weekend in Philadelphia sports. So on today's show, Gint and I will open up discussing the 76ers and Phillies weekend review. The Phillies lost 2 of 3 in Colorado to the Rockies. The Sixers lost both to the Bucks. They've lost 4 straight now without Ben Simmons in the lineup. The Sixers are back in action tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder, while the Phillies are in St. Louis to start a 4-game road stand against the Cardinals. Zach Wheeler's on the mound versus Adam Wainwright. And also, it is draft week. The NFL draft is quickly approaching on Thursday night and this entire weekend, so we will be talking the team that I can't believe I'm sporting right now. Again, I don't know if you guys can see this. It's been a while. Our Philadelphia Eagles and the draft as a whole. So it'll be a lot of fun today, and we'll be talking about the draft all week, I'm sure, looking at it from different angles. News will be coming out. So, again, let's start with our weekend review. You kind of summed it up perfectly. Absolutely dreadful weekend. To be a Philadelphia sports fan. Where do you want to start, bud? You want to start with the pinstripes? You want to start with the team that is now playing me and you at center? I don't know.
I don't even remember what was in sequential order. So Sixers played Phoenix, right?
They lost to Golden State. We did a show after that. They lost to Phoenix, then they lost to Milwaukee, and then they lost to Milwaukee again.
And the Phillies, lost 2 out of 3?
The Phillies took 2 of 3 from the Cardinals, and then they lost 2 of 3 in Colorado over the weekend.
Jesus Lord, there was a lot, man. Holy moly.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's why we're getting so thrown off here, is because our last show was last Wednesday, I believe.
Oh, we didn't go Thursday.
Yeah, or I don't know if we went Wednesday either. Our last show might have been last Tuesday, to be honest. So it's been almost a week since. Yeah, so it feels like we're missing a lot. But let's start with the Phillies.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's just start with the Phillies.
Yeah, let's start. So the Phillies are 10-11. They're only 1 game out of first place in the NL East somehow, some way. Gint already thinks they're terrible. I'm not there yet.
You mean the NFC?
I think they're completely fixable. But I think their holes are glaringly obvious. So let's start there again. We'll get to the positives because there were some in Colorado. But the negatives, man.
You want to take one at a time?
Yeah, let's take one at a time. And let's start with the debacle that took place yesterday, and that is the back end of this pitching rotation and Chase Anderson. We'll clump the pitching together.
Okay.
The bullpen and the back end of the rotation.
We'll make this a circle a little bigger, but less.
Yeah. So Chase and Matt Moore, first of all, can't play anymore. Matt Moore cannot take the bump anymore in a Phillies uniform. He didn't even pitch this weekend, but I'm just telling you right now, he can't be your 4th starter. Vince Velasquez, I'm done with that experiment. It was cute for a couple of innings. And then Chase Anderson gives up, what did he give up, Ken?
6 runs in the 4th inning.
6 runs in 1 inning. Yeah, that was real nice. That was fun to see. So the back end of this rotation, no matter which way you want to slice it, who you're throwing out there, can't get through 5 innings. They can't get through 3 or 4 innings, Gint. And then when I get to this bullpen, look, I think I don't want to get too low and down on this bullpen because they haven't been pitching very well as of late. But we were so high on them when they were having success early in the year. I don't want to bring it all the way back down. I believe in this bullpen still. I think they need to know their roles a little bit better. I don't know why David Hale was the first pitcher to come in after Chase Anderson the other day, or was it Velasquez? I forget when David Hale came in, but he can't be a part of this bullpen rotation anymore. So yeah, man, that's hole 1. The Phillies need another starter, and they miss Archie Bradley and Jose Alvarado. I'll say that. When those two come back, them two and Neris are the back end of your bullpen. Coonrod, Brogdon, Kinsler, they were all pitching well. They've struggled recently. I think they'll be okay. They all throw hard. They all have some stuff. You're going to have ups and downs. That's not where my focus lies. My focus lies on this rotation. What are your thoughts on how Chase Anderson gave up 7,000 runs in the Mile High?
Dude, someone had a great tweet, and it might have been Brian Jacobs, said, I really took advantage of the Joe Blanton fifth starter days. And it really was true, man. Like, just, I was watching the game with my dad yesterday, and we stopped to have dinner. And I was like, Dad.
Oh, I turned it off.
I said, Dad, it's 7-2. It's like, what happened? I was like, I get one. Chase Anderson must have happened. But, man, dude, I don't know which one is – because like you said, Archie Bradley and Alvarado are very important. And the bullpen was good in the beginning of the year. These two back-end starters don't look good. And they look good. I mean, we won a couple starts off Matt Moore in the beginning of the year. I'm not sure what we've won since. I don't think it's many. And they haven't looked good yet. Have either of them made it out of the fourth inning?
No. I think Chase Anderson got to the sixth once. And I'm not joking when I say that.
And I don't know what route they want to go. I don't know. I don't think they'll even go the Spencer Howard route.
They need to. They have to.
What do you think they will?
Yes, 100%. I don't think this can keep up. I don't know why he's in the
bullpen. Go
Spencer
Howard over Vinny V?
100%.
Well,
I think they know. I think, yeah, but the reason I think they haven't gone Howard yet is because I still think they're trying to get his shoulder right or whatever he had going on in the offseason. So they're having him come in now, the bullpen, and then once he's like good to go, he has to be the guy. I think they're smart enough. I know Vinny V got the start the other night. Dale, we'll get there in a few minutes, and I'll try to talk you off the ledge, pal. But I know he got the start the other night, but I think that's just because Spencer Howard's not ready. I think they know that they cannot continue to keep forcing Vince Velasquez down our throats. I think that's why he was placed in the bullpen, not over Chase Anderson or Matt Moore. And he's only been used in like scenarios that don't really mean much. He got the start, yes. Well, why wasn't it Spencer Howard? Because I think his shoulder's not ready and they're trying to get him up to speed there. But if that's not the case, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, hoping that Spencer Howard's not ready yet. Once he's ready, he'll come in because they need help desperately at the back end of their rotation. Okay? Because it's just after the first three starters go, how are you feeling when Matt Moore or Chase Anderson walk out on the mound?
Dude,
oh shit, here we go.
Yeah, you can't have any confidence at all.
Right. And do you think, no offense, but do you think their teammates have confidence?
If they say they do, they're lying.
Yeah, like you can't tell me. You remember the gift that came out of JT Realmuto when we had Hughes. Yes, come on, yeah. Scott.
Yeah, he had like that like stare like on his face.
He sprinted out of the bullpen. Remember, and JT was like, oh my god, right? That's got to be how he feels when he has to catch a game for Matt Moore. Or for Chase Anderson. Like, seriously, you're right. If they say they're confident or they believe in them, they're just saying that to be a good teammate. Like, dude, like, obviously not professional, but playing sports growing up, you had to stick up and like, be there for your teammates, right? But in your home, talking to your family or talking to, like, other friend group, you'd be like, this kid sucks, man. Like, why? Yeah, that you're telling me it's not the same there?
No, I think you're right. Dude, it's brutal, man.
So they need help there, right? So that's hole one. Now let me give you hole two. Center field. Okay? And I don't know if we want to clump this together too, again, but we can clump left field and center field with leadoff and back end of the lineup all together if we want. Because 7, 8, 9, 1 roll in together, left field, center field, both outfield positions. We can clump them all together if that's how we want to do this, right? Damn, Nadir. Well, Gint had mono.
Yeah, I had mono, Nadir. Sorry, might have been a little.
Yes, sorry, we missed 2 shows for you, my man. What do you? It's like that's like me coming out and calling Ferk lazy because he's hurt. But let's clump all that together, right?
Let me start with this. I don't know if it's time. Actually, it might be. I don't know if it's time to quit on Kutch completely.
It's not.
He's just not a leadoff hitter. He's clearly not. He's batting like what 150. It's
157, I think.
Yeah, it's like absolutely brutal. So I think a lineup change is necessary. Now I don't know where they go at the top of their lineup. I think Gene's the obvious answer, like who you'd have to try next in the pecking order. But Marky Mark said it, and you said it.
I want to get
go ahead.
The sensation. Dude, I don't care if it's 5 games, 6 games, whatever the hell it is, that you need to figure out a way to keep this kid in the lineup. And if it's left field, center field, I know someone earlier said it should be a platoon in left field of Kutch and Brad Miller, because Brad Miller's been swinging the bat well as of late too. And what did you bring him back for? So that's an option there. But I want to hit on this comment right here. Spencer Howard we already discussed, and I think that will come true pretty shortly. Okay, Nick Maton needs to stay in the lineup, even if it's just fool's gold right now. Use up as much of that gold as you can. Cash in on it for the little period of time you have it, right? Now I want to get to the last one. Yeah, drop Quinn. I don't want to ever see Roman Quinn step into a batter's box ever again, because him and Mickey Moniak, I know Mickey Moniak had a cute 3-run home run the other day, but that's all it is. They're combined 101 in center field. They're both batting under 100. They're not competitive in the batter's box, right? The name there, bring up Herrera, because he could lead off. He can play center field. Now I want to touch on this. Odubel didn't have a good enough spring training to where that he forced their hands to overcome like that PR nightmare. I know he played so well, like he has to play from a baseball standpoint. And that's all I want to discuss is the baseball standpoint. Again, I asked Mike Small this last night. If he's not up because it's a PR nightmare, right? Which it is. Why is he at the alternate site? Why'd you keep him? I want to know. That's my question to the Phillies organization. Why didn't you just cut him if you're going to leave Mickey Moniak and Adam Hazley, who's not with the team currently, but you stuck with them for that period of time? Now it's Roman Quinn, right? How long are you going to stick with just dreadful center field play? It is an absolute 99.9% sure lock it in out each and every time Roman Quinn steps into the batter's box, okay? What did you keep Odubel Herrera on the roster at the alternate site for if he's never going to come up because it's too much of a nightmare? You should have just cut him then. You should have just cut him if that's going to be the case.
You're right, and I don't want to say it in this sense, but it's almost like they're trying to like wait for something bigger to happen, and this gets blown in the dust, and then you move them up, and you take the first week of the hit. But it's like, dude, like you said, it's a literal black hole of a bat. It's like having 2 pitchers in the lineup, essentially. Yeah. It's just 2 outs.
And I'm not saying that Odubel Herrera deserves a second chance with the Phillies or in baseball at all. Okay, I'm not going to be the judge of that. You guys can all do that, right? But what did they keep him for at the alternate site if it's too much of a PR nightmare to bring him up? You've hit rock bottom. The Phillies are at rock bottom in center field. There's not getting any lower at center field right now, okay? So your options are to either keep, when Gene Segura comes back, keep Nick Maton in the lineup and have the kid just practicing catching fly balls for the next week and a half straight, okay? And try to throw him in there. Or the alternative is what Mark said. A lot of people aren't going to like it. I don't like it, to be honest. But from a baseball standpoint, why is he at the alternate site if he's never going to be allowed to come up, if you're never going to bring him up?
Is it true?
I don't get it.
Is it true that Scott Kingery hasn't gotten a hit?
Scott Kingery, before he was called up during the COVID stuff and injuries, that was 1 for 21 with 12 strikeouts in the minors.
I was trying to look up his stats.
We're at the alternate site. And then he came up and didn't get a hit. I think he struck out 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, he was over 2.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
There's a plague in center field spot. We might have to leave that spot
done.
open.
It's done, dude. It's Nick Maton. You want to bring up a Odubel. You don't. You need to find a solution. You need to do it quick. These solutions aren't hard to fill. Again, Dombrowski's has to be active. You have been awful. And you're one game out of first place because the rest of the division hasn't been that good either. The Braves are off to a bad start. The Nationals are off to a bad start. Yeah, look, man, I'm not going to touch on all of that. Okay, I didn't say he deserves a second chance. I didn't say he didn't. Everyone else can talk about that. But why is he there if he's never going to get the second chance? Okay. So moving on, Gint. I think we covered all the issues with the Phillies, right?
Besides, well, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
and I wouldn't give up on Kutch already. I just don't think Kutch can lead off. I think if you slide Gene, whoever you slide up into the one hole, you put Kutch at 7 or 8. See how it works out. If he's still struggling, if he's still batting under 200, you know he's done. He's done. And then you figure out from there. But I'm not giving up on him already. Roman Quinn, see, done. Have had enough of that. But let's talk about some positives. Rhys Hoskins hit like 3 home runs in Colorado. He hit 2 in the win. Bryce Harper hit 3 home runs in Colorado. Yesterday, this is my main takeaway from the weekend. All those issues I just talked about, you have to fix them, Dave Dombrowski, because you are wasting this stretch from Bryce Harper right now. Do you guys realize that Bryce Harper single-handedly created a 2-0 lead in yesterday's ballgame with 2 solo home runs and then threw a guy out from right field at home plate to keep it 2-0 in the 3rd inning? And all of that went to waste with a snap of the finger from Chase Anderson yesterday. And at that, if you're Bryce Harper, what do you say? Right? Like you're doing all of this. 2 bombs through a rocket from right field to throw someone out at home to keep the lead. And then just like that, you're down 7 runs. You just throw your hands up in the air. Like, what more do I have to do? I don't know if you saw this, Gint. Did you get the same feel that I did? Do you remember the day game versus the Giants that we won in extras when he hit the home run in the 8th inning to tie it at 5-5 or 4-4 or whatever? Remember when he ran around and he was fired up and he was young? Like, I get people are just going to say he's fired up. Did you get a sense of, like, calm the F on? Like frustration kind of from him? Like, come on. I was like, I'm doing literally everything that I can. Not that he's going to say that or actually thinks that. I'm just that's what I got a little bit. Yeah, he's fired up that he just tied the game in the 8th inning, but he's like, guys, I can't do it myself. So that's my takeaway again.
No, exactly. I mean, you're essentially Hoskins and Harper, I think, are tied for second in the MLB in home runs right now. And you're 10 and 11 because not only is your bullpen and your back end of your rotation god awful, it seems like the rest of the lineup has no answers. I mean, Segura's been all right, Bohm's been all right, and I'm not going to complain about JT, but he has every bit of the right to be frustrated with what's going on right now. He, like you said, created a 2-0 lead yesterday by himself, like quite literally by himself. And
well. I wish someone would have, if we would have seen this before I just went on a rant, Gint. Odubel Herrera has been promoted to Phillies big league team.
Oh my God.
Guys, I really hope that our viewers right now did not. Is he?
Austin Krell, Odubel Herrera is starting tonight for the
Matt
Phillies.
Breen, yeah. Jose Alvarado's back. Matt Moore's back. Odubel Herrera's up. Spencer Howard to the alternate site.
Well, there's your answer on who's not starting.
I really hope our viewers did not see any of this and just let me go on an asshole of a rant for 5 minutes. Okay, so Odubel's in the lineup.
You want to change? There's change for you.
I want to change, yeah. I want to change from a baseball standpoint. Let's see how it plays out tonight. Watch this dude go yard and give everyone the biggest bat flip ever. What?
Yeah, just 5 feet in the air, flings it.
All right, so I think we wrapped up our Phillies talk. Scotty will be joining us soon, hopefully. Let's get into the Sixers weekend review again. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't remember a lot of Saturday's game. I saw that Joel, obviously Ben wasn't playing. Then Joel was out, and I just went out with my friends, and I was like, it was on, but I wasn't like tuned in. Excuse me, because they had no chance. And I look up at the TV at the bar, and they're down 4 in the third quarter. I'm like, wow, how the hell are they still in this? And then next thing you know, they're down 19 2 minutes later. There he is.
What's up?
It really was.
Yo, how are you going to flex on everyone with that shoe rack?
Yo, that's a new setup, right?
He just comes in with 900 pairs of shoes over his shoulder.
Nah, I got to fill it up some more, man.
All right, Scott. So to get you up to speed, me and Gint just reviewed the Phillies weekend. And I just went on about a 7-minute rant about center field and needing change. And then I went on Twitter while Gint was speaking, and Odubel Herrera has been called up and is playing tonight.
I saw it on the way in, man.
Yeah. So glad no one told me about that one. Awesome. Good stuff, guys. But now we're switching gears to the Sixers, and I have to talk Dale off the ledge. I'm not having a breakdown, but third place, here we come. Dale, I'm going to say this with a confident tone. The Sixers aren't getting the 3rd seed. They're not getting the 3 seed.
I mean, guess, this man said filming from Foot Locker. He's funny as hell. What I would say to Dale, man, talk yourself off the ledge, dude. The Bucks lost to the Hawks last night. So
without Trae Young.
So let's get realistic. The Bucks got really up for a 2-game stretch against Philly when they didn't even have all their players. So
undermanned Philly
really up for that. You can tell. You saw Giannis was calling it a playoff atmosphere after the second game. So they took that as a playoff series and then come out and lay an egg against the Hawks. I mean, and
it's also about for everyone that thinks that back-to-backs don't matter.
Yeah,
they play a factor. They lost to the Hawks without Trae Young after they just beat the Sixers by 89. Okay, so Dale, it's okay. We still have a 2.5 game lead over Milwaukee with like 13 or 14 games left, whatever it is, and also the Sixers' strength of schedule. They only play like 3 teams with over 500 records currently. The Bucks and the Nets play each other twice. So I'm telling everyone with a confident tone in chest right now, the Sixers will not drop lower than the 2 seed. And I promise you that, Dale. Yeah, again, I see your smirk. I promise you they're not dropping below the 2 seed.
There's no difference between the 2 and the 3 seed, essentially, in my opinion.
That's fair, too.
Sure there is.
Yeah, cool. You'll play Milwaukee in the second round, and you'll have to play an extra game in Milwaukee. The stress is the 1 seed, man, and I'm going to be honest with you. It does not look like they want it. But I shouldn't say that because guys are out, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. These guys are out for a reason, and they can't play. Essentially, I mean, the back-to-back, I think they saw the effort Embiid gave against Phoenix, and they were like, all right, take a seat. You're not playing this one. But, dude, do you want to talk about that shot that would have literally lit the world on fire or no?
That was a while ago. But
did you see the side-by-side pictures of the Kawhi shot?
Yeah.
And that shot, and like by the laws of science is fake after that. You can't tell me anything different.
That was probably the greatest miss in NBA history, in my opinion. And if it would have went in, it would have been the greatest shot in NBA history. But yeah, that is our freak of a center and our MVP, Joel Embiid. We can talk if he is the MVP because he just missed another game. So, I'll start the conversation here. I love Joel Embiid. I'm not saying that his shoulder isn't bothering him or he doesn't have a legit shoulder issue. And I call him the MVP. You can't continue to say you're the MVP after you just missed 18 games with only 16 games or so left. And then miss another game. When you had, I'm pretty sure they had, how many days off did they have between the Milwaukee games? 2 or 1?
1.
Regardless, you had a day off. So, look, it could definitely be a shoulder injury. I don't want him to play. The goal is to get to the playoffs healthy. I don't care about that. I'm just saying you can't continue to call yourself MVP. I'm the MVP of this league and then miss your 19th game after just coming back. You know what I mean? Or do you guys disagree?
No.
Well, you can go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. And I'm going to call, we call him it because it's right now he has been super valuable to the team. We're we don't have a good record without him. But I mean, dude, if you two other guys in the league right now, I mean, Denver looks like great. I shouldn't say great, but Jokic looks awesome since Jamal Murray went out. He's only gotten better. He's putting them on their back. He's elevating other guys' games, I should say. Michael Porter Jr. is a stud, and he's showing it. And then, dude, Steph Curry. I mean, I think we talked about him a little bit. Like, that guy is wheeling Golden State into this little play-in tournament thing. He's been on a different – So, yeah, for me, it's like, how can you give it to him? Like you said, he's just missing game after game after game anymore. But, again, I'd rather be healthy going into the playoffs than getting a regular season award.
100%.
And they're going to take the precaution with him, and I'm okay with that because this is the end goal isn't for Joel Embiid to win MVP. The end goal is to get the 1 seed and win the finals. So,
all right, boys, before we continue that conversation, because I just realized what time it is, and we do have Krell coming on in probably 10 minutes or maybe less, so we'll get back to Sixers. Let's get our Eagles and draft talking, but before we get to that, Scott, we do have an announcement to make to the viewers. So, guys, me and Scotty have a show debuting this Sunday. It will be every Sunday here on the Painted Lines where you're watching us now on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, called Turf Talk. We will drop the logo after the show, and it's going to be an all NFL / Philadelphia Eagles podcast every Sunday. So be on the lookout for that. And then as well, we do have our own media page coming to YouTube. So since Scotty, Gint, and I will be working a lot more closely together and putting out a lot more content together, we're just combining everything into one big YouTube page called DSM Media. So go give that a subscribe. Go subscribe to DSM Media on YouTube, please. We'll drop the link. We'll throw it out on Twitter after we get the logo set up this week. But just because we're going to be putting all the daily doses on there after they're on the Painted Lines, it's all Scotty shows from Heat Ratio and all of that will be going on there as well. Turf Talk will go on there after it's on the Painted Lines, and we'll be doing some special cool giveaways for the page and doing some snippets and cool content for you guys throughout the week there as well. So be on the lookout for that. Did I miss anything, boys?
No, I think you covered it all, man. We got some good content coming. Basically just, upticking our amount of content that we're going to put out with the football season coming. I know me, Dylan, Gant, we're all big football fans, so we'll have a ton of fun. We'll have a ton of guests, and like they said, we'll do a ton of giveaways as well. So it'll be fun. You guys should definitely check it out.
Absolutely. So let's get into this draft because it is this Thursday, and it approached a lot more quickly than I ever thought it would. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think Gint's been on the same wavelength as me. I've been checked out from the Eagles, and I don't know if it's just – I don't know if it's because of how the Sixers have been playing, the hot Philly star, whatever it is, but and how much of a disaster the Eagles are. I've been so checked out. But I said again before the show started, please give me a glimmer of hope by doing the right thing on Thursday night. Just give me a glimmer of hope. Now, what is the right thing? Let's get into that conversation. You guys can comment as much as you guys want to and join the conversation here. Here's where I want to go with it, guys. The Eagles have been linked to wide receiver or corner at pick number 12, where they currently sit, right? So Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, J.C. Horn, and Patrick Surtain are the 4 names that come to mind for me and for a lot of mock drafts out there if the Eagles stay at 12. My question is, where do you guys go? And also, what type of draft do you want to see the Philadelphia Eagles have this year? Because there's a side of this fan base that wants defense in the 2021 draft, because this year is probably going to be a wash. Lock up on defense, fill a lot of holes defensively this year, and then come back next year. Or do you do the one thing for Jalen Hurts that they didn't do for Carson Wentz? And I said this to Gint earlier, and I've said this on multiple occasions months ago. I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts yet. That does not mean I'm not going to root for Jalen Hurts, and that does not mean I don't think Jalen Hurts can be the guy. I just haven't seen enough yet. How do you solidify Jalen Hurts being the guy? Go get him a weapon. Go do what you never did for Carson Wentz, and go get Jalen Hurts a true outside perimeter threat, whether that's Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle. because you traded out of the top 6 where you could have had Pitts or Jamar Chase. Now there are rumors that Howie Roseman wants to trade back into the top 10, which we can discuss later in the week, and if that's smart or not. But where do you guys go? Scott, start with you. Defense, weapon.
So yeah, I think you were kind of getting at what I'm thinking. Basically, I think first round you address it, and this is if you can. It really depends on how the board plays out, but I think you go for a weapon on offense. I mean, have we just missed out on what we've been watching the last 3 years? I mean, this offense is stagnant. Now, part of it is Doug Peterson. Obviously, the play calling was suspect as hell, but we need some type of explosive players on the offense. We don't have much of that now. Jalen Reagor, that's yet to be seen. I'm not out on him. I don't mean that, but it is to the point where, do you think Jalen Reagor is going to be your number 1 wide receiver? Even if you're not. So say you're not out on him after that disappointing rookie season. Is he wide receiver 1? No, I don't think so. Is Travis Fulgham? Do you want to rely on a guy like that as your wide receiver? No. So if you're thinking for the future, whether it's Hurts or it's a quarterback you grab next year, because obviously they've loaded up on draft picks, they're keeping that option open. If that's the case, then give them the best case scenario, give them a weapon in a wide receiver. Now, when we had the chance at Pitts, I was thinking wide receiver or tight end. Once you move down to 12, you're kind of putting yourself in that one slot now because there's no longer a tight end available. But at the same time, I'm not going to be angry if they go corner. There are some good wide receivers. I like Marshall out of LSU in the second round.
Yeah.
Later in the draft, but I'm not going past the second round without a wide receiver. That's 100% sure. I think part of the fan base is correct. You do want to address defense primarily, but I still think there's room to grab a wide receiver in there and grab a running back to back up Miles Sanders, because we need another running back as well. So that can't go unnoticed as well.
Oh, you don't want Jordan Howard?
Maybe 2 years ago, if we would have brought him back last year and kept him, moving, I think he took a year off last year, basically. So we'll see what we get out of him, but we can't rely on him and Boston Scott as running back too. See how that goes.
All right, again, where do you stand on this whole defense, weapon debate at pick number 12, or just in the philosophy of the draft?
So it's tough because the 4 guys you named, I think, are at the top of a lot of people's quote unquote big boards. For the Eagles, obviously, there's names that aren't going to fall. Kyle Pitts,
Jamar Chase.
Well, I mean, I want an offensive player. I think we all want to see an offensive player, just like you said, because for me, I'm the same way you are. I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts. So the only way to figure that out is if you put some weapons around him. You can't give him, again, you can't give another guy a shot because you take bums on the outside. Right. But I would love a corner. I think J.C. Horn, like you said, Patrick Surtain are 2 great names. I've been watching Mark dive, Shane. They're all diving into all these guys, and they love them guys. So, yeah, but then
again, if those guys fall though, if Surtain and Horn fall to us, then it's most likely because Waddle and Smith are gone at that point. But I mean, filling in those spots.
Exactly. So I mean, you would love to see one of those 4 names drop. And then you take them. Now, if one of those 4 names don't drop, that's where you run into this guy might just close his eyes and make any pick. I also wouldn't hate Penei Sewell, the tackle.
You think he's going to be there?
He's not going to fall, but I'm saying if all 4 of those guys think they get weird and he somehow slips, I wouldn't mind him.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I don't see if Cincinnati doesn't take him and try to protect Joe Burrow a little bit just because he's friends with Jamar Chase, that doesn't mean anything. But yeah, so I don't really know if there's a general side of the ball I'd commit to. I would just take the best player available, essentially. But dude, I'll tell you what, and we'll probably talk about it more later in the week. If Justin Fields is at 12, I don't know how Howie Roseman doesn't take this guy, dude. I don't see it.
You have to.
I don't see how he doesn't take this kid.
You have to, man. I think you have to take him if he falls to 12. I mean, even if you take him and you just trade him later, like whatever the case may be, you take him at that point. I think it's ridiculous, the stuff that's coming out about him that's making him drop.
I also don't see how one of these 4 quarterbacks are on the board. I think he'll trade back. New England needs.
No.
I know. I understand, but you have to know who you're dealing with here. And
so true, man.
New England needs a quarterback, but it all depends on who goes. The first 4 picks, all of a sudden, it might be quarterback. So this might not even be a discussion, but
yeah.
Who knows?
Okay, here's my stance. There's 2 things I want to get off my chest. A, you guys know that I'm not a hypocrite. So it wouldn't be fair to me to root for Carson Wentz last year when there was a large portion of this fan base telling me I was wrong. And my arguments were the play calling, the personnel around him, the help he had around him, right? So it wouldn't be fair to me to judge a season of Jalen Hurts with the same slop thrown around him, correct? That's why I want wide receiver 1, okay? The other reason it's also related to Jalen Hurts is because what is this whole mess about? It's because you took a quarterback in the 2nd round of the 2020 NFL draft. You need to figure out this year if Jalen Hurts is the guy or if he's not the guy, okay? How do you do that? By putting something around him, damn it. I just told you're not going to figure it out if this team wins 5 games, but Jalen Hurts shows flashes but doesn't. But Jalen Reagor is his wide receiver 1. There's a rotating offensive line. That Zach Ertz is gone and they only have Dallas Goedert. You're not going to figure it out then, man. I'm sorry. I'm not going into this year with Jalen Reagor, Travis Fulgham, Greg Ward, Boston Scott, Dallas Goedert as my skill position. I'm not doing it. And it's not fair to him. And everyone who's watched me long enough knows that I'm a Carson Wentz guy, right? I didn't want him to go. And I didn't see enough through 4 games for Jalen Hurts when people already think and assume he's the future. But it's not fair to the kid to throw the same mess around him. So while I agree and welcome to the show, Austin Krell. Real quick, I'm wrapping up an Eagles rant here. Well, I'm not going to be upset at J.C. Horner, Patrick Surtain, and to pair them with Darius Slay would be really, really nice and fill a hole on defense. And then Avonte Maddox can slide back to slot where he probably belongs and see how it goes there. It's not fair to Jalen Hurts to not select the Heisman Trophy winner or his teammate Jalen Waddle at 12 if one of them or both of them is there. It's just not. With that being said, welcome to the Daily Dose. Austin Krell, you can follow him on Twitter at NBA Krell. What is going on, man?
That was quite a spirited rant I walked right into. I can appreciate that for sure.
Absolutely. So Justin already said this. Keith tweeted it. The plan is for Ben to play. What are you hearing about the injury report as a whole tonight? Because half the damn roster is on it.
Yeah, I think they're venturing into that territory of let's get our guys healthy. We don't want to, we don't want to have anybody go down with some horrendous injury, like you saw in the fight the other night, and then last night Devin Kennedy goes down for the Magic and like rips his ankle apart. So you don't want to have that on your conscience against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I do think though that they need to get everybody back on the court tonight, just because they got to start building rhythm together. You have George Hill playing an integral piece in this rotation, and he's not going to get any better and fit better with the team if you don't play guys. So I think down the stretch, you'll see them start to rest guys a little bit, especially against teams like the Magic and whatnot. But I think for the betterment of them right now, they got to start playing these guys together a little bit.
Yeah, so something that Gint brought up earlier, and like I remember when the Nets just like Harden was out longer, and then they were sitting Aldridge, and everyone's opinion was, oh, they don't give a shit about the 1 seed, like they think they can beat whoever. Not that the Sixers don't care about winning the 1 seed or don't want the 1 seed, but to your point, do you think that they feel comfortable enough against any matchup in the playoffs where they don't absolutely need to get the 1 seed and they just want to get healthier?
So I think that's the type of thing where, as competitors, they probably don't like think about it too much in the sense of like, oh, this is the Brooklyn Nets. Like, you think about that more if you're the 6 seed. Like, then you kind of just have to admit, like, we're not good enough. But they've been the 1 seed all season long. I know internally the feeling is like the 1 seed would be just wonderful. No one can deny the path is much different for the 1 seed versus the 2 seed. So I think in that sense they would like it, but I think that they probably think that they can compete with anybody. But I thought the Nets yesterday spoke. Watching that game yesterday told me a lot about the Nets. That Suns team is a very good Suns team. They were down like one impact starter in Jay Crowder, which he's not like a star or anything, but he's a really solid, versatile 3-and-D forward. And I just think like Kevin Durant comes in, drops the most efficient 32 you could ever think of. Kyrie does Kyrie things. In any other season, you'd probably be able to put Kyrie into the MVP conversation. He's been that good when he's been available. And they are deeper than people thought. So they are certainly a team you want to try to avoid at all costs. And I think if you're the 2 seed, you have to beat Milwaukee, which I don't think is a walk in the park. And then if you survive that series, congrats, you got to go play the Nets, which isn't easy. And oh, by the way, the Nets lost LaMarcus Aldridge, who was taking minutes from Nick Claxton, who is a more conducive player to your defense than LaMarcus Aldridge is.
Quick question for you, Austin. Obviously we played Milwaukee this weekend, and they weren't really games that are a fair assumption on the Sixers, but what kind of problems do they pose for the Sixers specifically?
So I think with the Bucks, like, number one, I don't know that there's a matchup there that like you consistently are going to be okay with in a series against Giannis. He's just too long, too big, too strong, too quick. It's abnormal to see a guy his size be able to just spin past anybody with no space and just lay it up and in. He doesn't have to get above the basket. He can just like literally lift his arm up and dunk it as soon as he's close enough. So that's a problem. I don't think Ben can take him for a whole series. I think maybe you're going to be basically banking on games for Ben, to maybe steal one matchup and hold his own against Giannis. But you're also going to need Embiid to be able to defend in space eventually, and they're going to wall off the interior. So I mean, that's not going to be hard, but Giannis is going to hit jumpers. He might not make them all game long, but he's going to make some that are going to be backbreakers. That's just how he plays. And I also think that like lately they've gotten away from from like protecting the corners. Doc talks endlessly about the value of protecting the 3-point shot in the corner. They've been getting crushed in the corners lately, and that Bucks team is a really good 3-point shooting team. So I think that could be a problem. But outside of their starting five, like, who really scares you? Nothing really scares me about them. Drew Holiday has been a revelation for them. He's been really, really good. Brook Lopez has been good of late. Chris Middleton's Chris Middleton, and Giannis is Giannis. I think what it comes down to is like you have a very good chance in that series if you really truly believe that you have 3 or 4 credible perimeter defenders, and I think the Sixers do believe that. So
one of those defenders has missed the last 4 games, and the Sixers are now 0-4 with that perimeter defender. So Krell, what is your message to the viewers and the fan base that, he's still getting hate. He's ducking players at times and whatever. What is your message to the fan base about Ben Simmons and his importance to the Sixers team? So I think you see a lot of his importance in not just the Milwaukee games, but the Warriors game. I thought was like a perfect example of what you miss with him. And I think also like Matisse played his heart out against the Suns and did a pretty good job of covering up what Ben usually does. But like he is so strong and so big that when you have like a guard going through the ball screen, like Steph, right, he puts this like innate, incredible pressure on your inside hip as a shooter when you're coming out of that screen. And it makes it way more hard for you to like comfortably rise up and shoot outside of a screen. And with Curry, a guy like this won't matter, but like Jamal Murray,
Those guys can put the ball on the string and yo-yo it. Kyrie definitely matters. Those guys are going to they force you to play drop coverage with the big man, and that gives the shooter a space out of the pick and roll. And so with Ben, you miss that, his ability to put pressure on that inside hip and make you second guess your jumper, and then also his off ball ability is just tremendous. So I think you have to have a quick eye for it, but his value in the defensive end can't be overstated. Offensive end, sure, I see the issue. People are going to say like he wasn't really sick, he wasn't really this, wasn't really that. I'm trying to get to the bottom of that. I don't know what it is yet. I have my theories, but I think it's very like easy to overlook the fact that like what he's going through with his family is very real, and it's not an easy situation by any stretch. And people can sit here and criticize him, but if you have to go to school, you have to go to work, and have that type of thing going on in your background, you're going to be distracted too. You're not going to want to feel going to work either. So,
right. Well, people see the dollar signs and forget that basketball players are human beings as well. I have a double-sided question for you, because you talked a lot about this 1 seed, and they are a game and a half back from Brooklyn right now. So A, how important is it to Austin Krell that the Sixers get this 1 seed and not have to face the Nets or the Bucks until the Eastern Conference Finals, whereas you'd have to play the Bucks in the second round most likely? And then B, you've talked a lot in our Discord about their strength of schedule compared to the other two and what's remaining on this schedule. So how likely do you think, even though they just had an 0-4 week, I think it's still very possible that the Sixers can come away with the 1 seed?
For sure. I mean, the narrative that you read in, like, guys like Derek Bodner and Kyle Neubeck and all the writers that you respect, the narrative isn't that they've lost it and that like this was their chance and this is like a shame. It's that they've made their road a lot harder now, which they have. There's no denying that they were in firm control of it after they beat Brooklyn last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, and now they're down a game. They win tonight, they're a half game back, and they're right back into the middle of it. The 1 seeds is huge because you're asking a Nets team, or you're basically expecting a Nets team to go through 2 rounds prior to you fully healthy and without any kind of like chemistry issues. What happens if, I mean, this is like, I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but like what happens if Kyrie has a hamstring? What happens if Harden rolls an ankle, Kevin Durant has another, thigh contusion or whatever, they miss 2 games? That can flip a series. And so that can ultimately end up with you playing a team like the Bucks in the conference finals, and they're exhausted. You're basically hoping that, and if you're that 1 seed, that the winner of the previous round is so tired out by the semis that they can't even hold a stick to you in the conference finals. So it's everything.
Right. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah. So by the way, what's up, Austin? Yeah, I just had a question about George Hill. Honestly, what you've seen so far from him. Obviously, it's not going to be his normal role once Ben is back in the mix. Have you been impressed with him so far? Disappointed? What's your overall feel on him? And what do you think his actual role will be once we're fully healthy?
So I think with George Hill, it's the kind of thing that you really I don't think anyone really has a grasp as to how valuable he can be to this team. Because not only does he give you like his own efficiency, like he's a good shooter. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. Once he gets more comfortable in that offense, you're going to see him sort of really get into his comfort zone and be more productive than what he is right now. But I think the unspoken value that kind of falls by the wayside is the fact that he allows Shake Milton to play off ball, and that takes away a lot of duties that are just completely complicating Shake's head and making him second guess and basically leading to his very up and down season. So I think that's something that is going to help significantly down the stretch. Now that's all fine and dandy. The issue still remains. Doc has to actually play him in that on ball role instead of letting Shake be a ball handler. So that I think he's really a good pickup. I think it's great that they have him for next season as well. But I do know that the Sixers are very much so in love with Shake Milton. So
yeah, let me ask you this, because we talk about the 1 seed, even if it isn't us or if it is us, who is that next team in the Eastern Conference outside of Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, obviously, that could give whoever gets that 1 seed a run for their money in a series? Do you think there is anyone? Do you think it could be Miami, Boston? Who do you think it is?
I don't think it's Boston. I saw a guy today like tweet out in response to like, I forget what it was, but it was something stupid like there'll be a 3 seed and lose to Boston in the first round. And I'm thinking I'm thinking like what gives you the impression that Boston can win more than 2 games in a series? They just lost to Charlotte by 25 last night. So not Boston, but Miami I think is a much better team than what their record has indicated. They've been up and down this year with injuries and COVID. But I think Jimmy Butler is a different dude when the games matter. That dude, that is a scary man for sure.
Well, that's awesome because that's who we're currently matched up with at the moment. That was going to be my next question for you.
Man. I know.
I've been texting with a couple of the guys in the beat, and I'm like, who would you not want to play? And they're like, I don't think anyone in the first round gives them an issue. And I'm like, wait a second. I think that Miami series would be tough.
It would, and like just the Sixers haven't gotten past that 3 seed since like the Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons era has begun, and like just to think we could be the 1 or 2 seed and have to match up with possibly Miami in the first round would really be a kick in the ass. Krell, I have a question for you. It's not totally Sixers related, but more playoff related. Because I've been asked this on the show a lot. What are your thoughts on the play-in tournament? Like the 7-10, 8-9?
Great question. It's a fantastic question. I actually read this afternoon that the consensus around the league was that it was going to be something that they would keep long term. And I think it's great if you're a team that's in it, but I think teams that are not in it, that are like the front of the conference, don't love it. What it boils down to is that it's just revenue. It's another way to recover revenue lost from the games played from the pandemic and not having fans in the arenas. It's a way to recover that money. And I think for a team like a small market team like the Charlotte Hornets, it's phenomenal for it. They love it. They get to sell tickets. They get to have playoff games. They get LaMelo national TV experience and their young roster, that kind of experience. Teams that are not in that that are in that like 1 to 3 range, I don't think they're in love with it, even though they shouldn't have too much issue. Just because number one, like they're sort of sitting there waiting while those teams get fresh and ready to go for the playoffs and get sort of their play in. But I think it's a money grab for sure. I don't have any kind of inherent problem with it. I think it's good for those small market teams to get their exposure and sort of get that extra oomph in there that they don't normally have. So.
See, I'm looking at it from like a 7 seed perspective, and like right now, I know they're in the 9 right now, but they're tied with San Antonio, so it could flip. Like, I'm just looking at it from a basketball point. I get the revenue, and that's 100% the reason. But like, if you're Portland and you got to match up and do a play-in game against Steph Curry, who was a 10 seed, like, and it's for however long it's been 1 through 8. And now they're going to expand it. 7's got to play 10 to get in, and then whatever else happens. And you got to play Steph in one game or whatever the case may be. That sucks, dude.
Yeah, and you saw Luka mention that as well. He said something about it like, we play 72 games. Why do we have to, do like a play-in tournament? Which I get that side of it too. But when you're
like my layout,
talk about money at the end of the day.
My layout would be like 8-9, like they did in the bubble. Like if the 9 seed is within 2 or 3 games from the 8 seed, you do a little play-in tournament with those two. Winner of the game or best of 3 gets the 8 seed. That's more money. To throw in a 10 seed, like I'm just looking like the Wizards are the 10 seed, dude. Like,
I love
so now,
by the way. I think there's so much.
So now if you're Miami, you got to play Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook in a play-in game.
What I would say is that if you don't like it, then maybe you shouldn't have voted on it in the CBA. And then number 2, maybe you should have won more games in the regular season. These are very simple ways to get around these issues. Number 1, everything goes through the players. If it's Players Association, They essentially run the league. Everything is signed off on in the CBA. If they didn't like it, then they essentially negotiated it in bad faith because they didn't want to go through with it. That's the same issue that I have with players missing games in the 72 game schedule, because this was the CBA they agreed to. But the fact that they were missing games tells me that they negotiated in bad faith and that they really only planned on playing 52 of them, which it is what it is, but you could have done that from the start. Right. Every issue you can come up with that, that's fine, but you are the one that signed off on it ultimately. The owners, the players are the ones that were okay with it. The players don't sign off on it. It can't be part of the CBA. It doesn't happen then. So this is all your own doing. If you don't want it, be better as a team. Win more games. Don't lose to the Timberwolves by 14 ever. No one should do that. And then don't sign off on it in the CBA. It's as simple as that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. The way that works is 7 and 8 play each other. The winner automatically gets a bid, and then the loser has to play.
Right.
So I think if you're like 7 or 8, you have to win only one of 2 games, or like one of 3 games.
Yeah.
And the 9 or 10 team has to win like 2. So the advantage goes to the 7 and 8. One thing I think would be really cool that they should do is like the 1 seed gets to pick who they play in the first round.
That would be cool.
Yeah, because like I think it'll put like a little extra like storyline to the series, because the team they end up having to play is going to feel a chip on their shoulder, like, oh, they wanted to play.
Yes.
These mofos, they this is what they wanted, and I think that would add a little bit more spark and flavor to a series. But and that's what I would do. But I think the play-in tournament it's better. It's good TV for us to watch. It gives you a reason to watch teams that you wouldn't normally care about. And I mean, I just think that it's a way for them to grab money. I don't know if it's going to be something that'll be here forever, though, because once they recover that revenue that they lost, during all of this, why would you continue to do that when you're just risking player health? The NBA does not want to see Bradley Beal go down with a torn ACL and miss an entire season because of the play-in tournament. They don't want to see that. So we'll see. But I think for now they like it because it's that extra national TV money. So.
All right, Krell. One more question I had for you. I don't know if Ginn or Scotty have anything else. Is what is a failure to you this year?
Ooh.
Fully healthy, like obviously if Ben's out in the playoff series or Joel's out, it changes things. But fully healthy, what's a failure to you for the Sixers team?
I think it's probably anything short of conference finals is a failure. I don't think anyone is expected to beat the Brooklyn Nets. I certainly don't expect anybody to. I think like you have an MVP player in Embiid. You have the best season arguably of his career in Tobias Harris. You have better fitting pieces around the two. You have a consensus top 10 head coach in the league. Anything less than a conference finals, I think, would be a failure. And I would also venture to say that anything less than that would probably result in one of the key cogs getting traded.
Right. Actually, you just brought up a great point. So with Doc, which I have a question on, how do you think Doc has done as the Sixers head coach this year? Because obviously he's had them at the 1 or 2 seed the entire season. He's pulled out the best in Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris and many other players, but there's still people out there that criticize Doc Rivers on a daily basis. So what are your thoughts on Doc Rivers' coaching performance this year?
If anyone judges Doc Rivers in a negative light based on this season, you're just naturally looking for things to hate on with the Sixers. I mean, number one, he comes in after they lose. So, and keep in mind, they lost in August. I think they lost in August or September. He comes in and they start training camp in middle of December. So he has really 3 or 4 months. And then, whenever he was hired, to get this team together and meet his guys and figure out what they want to do. He had no time to implement his own playbook. He really didn't have much of a training camp or a time to sort of look into what summer workouts needed to be. And he's pulled the best season of Tobias Harris's career out of him. Joel's an MVP. And it's not even about anything revolutionary he's done. It's that he's enabled them to be themselves. And I think they all are more grateful and respecting of him for that. Brett finally gave in to what the fan base wanted. It was I demand Ben shoot a 3 per game. Ben didn't respond to that. He only shot I think 1 the rest of the season total.
Yeah.
So he didn't take too kindly to that. Doc doesn't make, I think Doc appeals to his players by being a player's coach. He doesn't, tell them how to play. He just says, he hasn't played their own game, but I think he makes things easier. He condenses things for Tobias, the straight line drives he always talks about. He's improved Matisse. Matisse is a lot better than what he was a year ago. And he's now like a threat as a cutter, which I think is huge for him. He gets Embiid in the right spots. I think Doc's done just about everything right this year. Maybe the player rotations are a little bit questionable, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you traded Tony Bradley to get another backup point guard because your second unit had no gas, and so like who realistically, who is the next best option to back up Embiid? Like Anthony Tolliver, sure. Paul Reed's an idea in theory, but like Mike Scott's literally the only guy that knows the plays, knows how things are supposed to work, and is a body. Is Mike Scott good? No, he's horrible. But like you give him a full season with like an actual game plan as to how to approach the offseason, they'll find the right backup big, and there won't be any more Mike Scott. Like,
all right. I know I keep saying one more. I have to ask you this. So we know I agree on the job that Doc has done, but I think it's been the overall staff as a whole as well. What's the difference that you've seen from, Doc's acquired staff and Sam Cassell, Dave Yeager, everyone, compared to the coaches' roles of last year and under Brett Brown? Like, what's the biggest differences you're seeing? I'm always seeing Sam Cassell, Paul Beneside, Paul yelling at Matisse. Doc's always getting on shake. Like, do they work well with specific players? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I think it's that they understand how to approach the players better than what the previous regime did. And I think like what the organization has done a really good job of is clouding exactly what each person did. Like, to this day, I have no idea who did what under the previous regime. I have no idea who was like the head coach, who did this, who did that, who was like what role Elton Brand plays in all of this. I have no idea. They've done a very good job of making that impossible to figure out. So it's hard for me to say, but I think they're like the Dan Burke, I think, has been awesome for them. He flies under the radar, but like his ability their defensive rotations are as good as I've ever seen them most games. And it's because of Dan Burke. I mean, he lights a fire under them. I think Sam Cassell with more time with Ben is going to turn Ben into the player that you need him to be. And I think as a whole, like Doc has assembled a world-class coaching staff for sure. Whereas in years past, like Monty Williams was okay. But again, it's hard for me to say like what his role was in their defensive scheme. All I know is that their defense was at its best in like 17, 18. And then it was terrible in 18, 19. And that's why they lost to the Raptors. But I would say that this year there's more definition in the role as opposed to like what there was in years past. So it's kind of hard to say, but the results speak for themselves.
I'm stuck on you saying, which a lot of people think it too, that Brooklyn is going to win the East. And just a question for you. Do we give them the best shot of losing, or do you think Milwaukee would give them a tougher series?
Oh,
because I think Milwaukee poses a lot of problems for both Brooklyn and Philadelphia. And I think a lot of people just, Giannis can't play in the playoffs, so it doesn't matter, which I think is just a very lazy narrative.
My thing with Milwaukee is this. I don't think they have like the secondary and tertiary players to match up with Philly, but I think they have enough shooting around that you could win a game or two in that series just purely off of like insane, like unconscious 3-point shooting. And the rest of the time you just basically need Giannis or Chris Middleton to step up. So I think Milwaukee can give both teams a problem. I think if you're looking at pen to paper and just grading out rosters in general, I think Philly probably poses more problems to Brooklyn. I just don't think that Milwaukee has addressed their need for like a secondary ball handler in crunch time and like playmaker in crunch time. Like Chris Middleton's a nice piece. He's wildly efficient in crunch time actually. But I think like they still have the ball in Giannis's hand way too much. And I think that's a major problem. Like there's no way he should be running a crunch time offense. It should be him screening and diving over and over again. No one's stopping that. So I think just Philly probably is the bigger matchup issue for sure.
All right, Brock says, "Yo, no big heads allowed in this chat, Brock." And then last question for you, Krell. It's from my friend Nadir.
Oh God!
And I can only
playoff rotation. That's what Nadir needs to know.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to cut it significantly because I think they want to play Ben, Joe, and Tobias like 34 to 38 minutes a game. Maybe even pushing 40, to be honest, because I just don't trust their depth. I would probably go Ben, Seth, Danny, Tobias, Joe, Shake, Matisse, a little bit of Korkmaz.
George Hill.
George Hill, yeah. George Hill for sure. And then I think it's going to be like a revolving door of like matchup depending situations with Mike Scott playing small ball 5. If they re-sign Anthony Tolliver, maybe he gets a shot. But I think it's going to be like basically like who is feeling it on any given night, which is not the way you want to play. But here we are.
Oh, dear God. I just can't wait to see Mike Scott on the floor in the playoff rotation. I'm just going to lose.
He was like really good against the Bucks in that one game. And I was like, what is going on here? Like the Bucks were just killing them from 3. And Mike Scott comes in and just sinks 3 in a row with a hand in his mitt. And I'm thinking like, in what world does this happen where they're getting blown apart by the Bucks and then Mike Scott comes back, hits 3 in a row? Like, what is this?
I just can't get the memory out of my head of, and getting Scotty, I texted you two in the chat when he did it. Forget who we were playing. He pulls up and literally misses the rim by 8 feet and clanks it off the glass. I texted you guys, did he really just do that? The next possession, he came down from the same spot. No, and missed the rim again by 8 feet off the glass. And I was like, oh my God, he did it again before you guys could even hit. I can't get that out of my head. He can't play, dude. I can't do it.
He's got the green light, Bill. He's got the green light when he comes in. They tell him to let it go, man.
I can't, dude.
That's the way he plays. Like, honestly, he just lets it go as soon as he comes in.
I'll tell you, I think it's one of the most fascinating things in the world that like he's an NBA player and that he has such a lost feel for shooting the basketball. like you would think as a guy whose role is a 3-and-D that he would be able to feel like, okay, this feels wrong. Like I got to make this adjustment. From a shot-to-shot basis, I genuinely feel like he has absolutely no clue where the ball's going. Just like doesn't matter where he shoots it from, doesn't matter the context, how much time he has set up. I don't think he has any clue where it's going on a shot-to-shot basis. He's either all net, he doesn't hit rim. He either hits all net, or it's like you're gonna puncture the backboard. You're gonna break something. Stop.
I think the worst thing from Mike Scott's career was that corner 3 he hit against Brooklyn in 2018, 2019.
It's a miracle that shot even went in. And thinking back on it, like you would never trust him to make that shot now.
No, that's what literally the first words out of my mouth were the balls on this guy to just pull up with like 28 seconds left with the game on the line and bury a 3. And ever since then, he started drinking people's Jack and Cokes, and he lost his damn mind.
Listen, number one, they took away the ninja headband. That was number one. That was he was a beast when he had that headband. They were beasts when they had that headband. Number 2, he stopped drinking Jacks and Cokes with the fans. I think he should get back to that.
It's not a bad start.
Did he have cornrows back then?
I don't know.
Buzz cut. I think he had the buzz cut with the ninja headband, man.
Yeah, that's right. And listen, the fro and the cornrows aren't a bad look for Mike Scott.
Bro, you
would expect him to not like break the glass on the backboard when he shoots the ball, though. I mean, he gets his feet set, and I'm thinking like, oh Lord, have mercy. This is it. Like, watch your head. Just protect your head. It's going to come down, hit you in the face, and you're going to get a concussion. That's how off it is, and he shoots it. It's bad.
I don't know how we ended the discussion here with Mike Scott, but
just one last point off the ball off the backboard. Just shouting out back to that last OKC game when the ball hit Joel in the back of the head.
And he fell down.
I see him like lay out on the floor. Like, this dude is a clown, man.
I thought he got slumped. I was like, here we go. I thought he was out for like 3 weeks. I was like, this is
no. Then there was the one play like 2 or 3 games ago when you just saw Joel just give up on Mike Scott entirely. Like, getting I
wrote about that.
Yeah,
in that game. It was the Clipper game, I think.
Yeah.
It was the Golden State game. And Joel it's like early second half. Joel has the ball, like elbow free throw line extended, whatever. and he has two warriors converging on him, and they're parting the seas. Like it was like Moses parting the seas in the pass opposite to Mike Scott. He looks across. He's like, absolutely not going to happen, and throws up this shot and he banks it in.
It was like the most impossible angle too, like to even bank a jumper, and it went in. And I was like, man, he lost to this guy.
And I wrote the game, my game story. I was like, that was the moment where you just saw Joel like give up. He was like, this. He's like, I'm not giving up this ball for this guy. Mike was wide open in the opposite corner, like had his hands open, ready to catch. And Joel was like, I'm just gonna throw this up with two guys on me and banded it. That's the risk I'm willing to take.
All right, well, we got to wrap up this show, guys. So, Krell, thank you so much for joining us. Go have fun on the presser, bud.
Yeah.
Peace, man.
What's this clown saying?
Us. We do. Me.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I took my team to States back, 2000.
Oh, shit.
Hey,
He said, oh, shit.
in Maryland, so we can try it out, guys. We can definitely check it out.
Brock, are you reffing?
Oh, yeah, right.
Or do we get the
imagine the fouls he's calling?
or do we get to call our own fouls?
Oh yeah. Just a quick note for you here before we wrap up. What are the odds Dwight gets attacked tonight? Like they can't have to. It has to be like minus 600.
Like it's Joel playing, because if he's not, Dwight's getting more minutes.
Yeah.
That means
It's
more
guaranteed at that point. If Joel doesn't play, we might as well just start down 1-0. Then Dwight gets a tape.
If Dwight's getting 15 plus minutes, you can count it. Book it.
It's ridiculous, man.
All right, Brock said he's cheerleading for the game. That would be a sight. Anyway, before we wrap up, guys, I need predictions for tonight. Phillies in St. Louis versus the Cardinals. Sixers home against the Thunder. Are we feeling a 2-0 night?
Ooh, Wheeler's pitching?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll win. Yeah, I think the Phillies will win.
They should win.
They'll win like 5-4 on heroic efforts from Bryce Harper.
The Odubel spark.
Duble's hitting a bomb tonight, dude. I'm telling you right
there's
now.
There's no way he does not homer tonight. There's no way in my mind he doesn't go yard. I think the Phillies win like 5-4, 5-3, something like that.
All right, I'm going 2-0 as well. I think the Phillies win. And there's no way the Sixers lose this game. I don't care if Embiid's out or not. Like, what?
Bro, what? It sounds like Ben's playing. So if they have Ben, I think they're going to win. But, dude, if Ben, Tobias, Joel, Danny Green, and Korkmaz don't play, like, I can't sit here and say I have confidence we're going to win the game.
Well, who's the Thunder got? Dort's out. Gilgeous Alexander's out.
Oh, yeah, they throw in the tank, too.
Yeah, they don't care either.
Yeah,
so.
He's a beast.
Dort was out because he had like a 40 burger the other. Like
I needed him to play. That lady from Barstool said that he's better than Ben.
All right. So Scott, are you jumping on the 2-0 train as well?
I'm gonna ride the 2-0 train with you guys tonight. I don't see any reason why not. We got Wheeler at the mound. It's OKC, for God's sake. We better win.
We're going, Scott?
Losing streak.
Yeah. Are you going to the game?
Yeah, I'm going to the OKC Sixers game.
How much they pay you to get in there?
Dude, I ended up getting the tickets on like StubHub for like $40 literally.
Yeah, I bet,
I was like, whatever, I was looking at the tickets over the next couple weeks. They're all like up around $200. And the only notable ones would really be like the Hawks or the Pelicans.
Without Trae Young too.
Pelicans are like $220 a ticket. That's like that Zion influx.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up today's episode of the Daily Dose. So please go give my man Scott a follow on Twitter at Scotty Drown, and give Gann a follow at Matt_McGinty, and give my man in the comments Brock a follow at Landis Brock. I know you all are already following him, subscribe to his YouTube channel. So do us a favor and subscribe to DSM Media. I already messed up the name. Damn it. Go give DSM Media oh my God. Go subscribe to DSM Media on YouTube, everybody.
You want me to do the outro from now on?
I was going to say go give it a subscription, but that doesn't make any sense at all. So I had to like rephrase where I was going with that. But yeah, our new media page is going to be up and active this week.
Brock, we were going to do that, Brock.
And that was the original idea.
That was the original idea, bro. But I just felt like it was very off-putting.
Very unprofessional.
We got to be professional around here, man.
Yeah. And then we were going to go with, what's the name? DSG. But Gint made us very aware that that's Dick's Sporting Goods, so probably not the best idea there when it comes to merch and all. But anyway, yeah, go hit that subscribe button on DSM Media's YouTube channel. Turf Talk will be making its debut here live on the Painted Lines this Sunday, time to be determined. And I believe, Scott, we have a very special guest coming on this week, but I'll leak that later this week on Twitter. So stay tuned to my Twitter and Scott's Twitter for the first debut episode of Turf Talk.
You got to subscribe to find out who the special guest is.
Yeah.
Go hit that.
Yeah. So more to come about our YouTube channel, but thank you guys so much for watching. Have a nice night. Go Sixers, go Phillies, and happy draft week, everyone.